Hey guys, it's Adrian over BHA here, bringing you a new video. Over the last few weeks, I've been on this huge trip of trying to figure out the best way to monitor all the different computers in my house and be able to pull the stats or information into Home Assistant. And so I ran across Glances, which is a Python application which will pretty much run on any system that will support Python. Pretty cool. Lots of information that gets displayed. As you can see along the side here, all the different features that it has. On top of all that, there's a component for Glances in Home Assistant. So all this cool information that you can get right here can be dumped into Home Assistant and used in automations and notifications and whatever else you want. So let's check it out. I'll have the links to the various pages I've shown here in the description below. Specifically for this video, I'm going to show you how to monitor your Mac computer remotely in Home Assistant using Glances, but it will also work fairly similar for all the systems. If you guys want to see videos on like Linux or Windows, let me know and I can certainly put something together for that as well. So let's do a quick run through of everything we're going to cover in this video. So of course, for starters, we're going to install Glances. Once that's installed, then we're going to test it out. Once we've shown that it does work and pull in information into Glances, then we will set up our Mac to run Glances at login. Once we're able to do that, then we are ready to configure Glances for Home Assistant. And just as an added bonus, we're going to add the Glances page as a panel iframe to Home Assistant as well. So let's get started. All right, so there are so many different ways to install Glances depending on what your system is or anything like that. So look through this GitHub page, tons of information, and of course you are able to figure out how to install it for whatever type of machine you want to install it on. For us, we're going to use this curl command, and I'll have it in the description below so you can copy and paste it, but it is curl -L https://bit.ly/glances, and we're going to pipe that into /bin/bash. And this is a full install script that will run through everything needed for your Mac operating system. So of course it right off the bat says I need command line tools for Xcode. It will install those for me as part of the script. And we'll kind of fast forward through this so we're not waiting around for it to finish. But once it gets finished here, then we're going to jump over to the next step. All right, so just to make sure that everything got installed correctly, we're just going to test it out. And what we want to do is we want to test it out as a web server. And the easiest way to do that is just to say glances-w. Just run that in the command line. And it looks like we're missing a prerequisite, which is called bottle. This is an easy fix because we already have everything in place. We're just going to do a sudo pip3 install bottle. Now that that is installed, we can try to run Glances again. So we'll do glances-w for the web server. And as you can see, Glances web user interface started, and the port number is 61,208. That is the default port for Glances. We're going to jump over to a web browser here. And basically the IP address of our Mac system, :61208, will bring up this. Now, just looking at it, you think it's probably a command line interface, but this is not. This is actually all running in a web browser. It can be accessed from anywhere on my home network. Tons of information, as you can see, CPU, memory, disk space. Shows all the network interfaces on this machine, all the processes currently running. It's awesome. These are the kind of stats that I want to have in Home Assistant for setting up alerts and automations and whatnot for that particular machine. So now that we know it's running, let's move over to the next step. So this is great and all, but in order for this to be fairly usable, we need it to be running all the time. On the Mac, there's not an easy way to set it up to run this application at startup, but we can run it at login. And since my Mac is pretty much always logged in, I felt like this was an easy fix. We can set it up to run glances in a logon script, and as soon as I log in, it will run in the background. So we're going to start by creating a little shell script. So I'm going to call this glances underscore server.sh. And then, of course, put my bin bash information at the top. And then the only command that we really need to have in here is, for me, I'm going to run it inside of screen. So I can have a link to that in the description below as well if you don't have screen running on your Mac. If you're like me and most of the people I know that run a Mac, that's just kind of an application you automatically have running, especially if you're a command line junkie. But I will add a link to installing screen in the description below as well. But screen -d -m glances -w. That will run it as a web server. And then all we need to do other than that is just kill the terminal because we don't want to leave that terminal window open. Screen will have it running in the background. So we'll, as a second command, we're going to say kill all terminal. Once we have all that in there, we're going to save it. That's our little shell script. Let's make sure that our script is executable. So we'll do a chmod +x glances underscore server.sh. Now it's an executable script. Let's jump over to the desktop here and see if we can't set this up as a login script. So one other thing we need to do to make sure that this application or shell script will run all the time using terminal as its application, we need to go to the location. And I have mine saved in my home directory. And so over here, let's get this out a little bit. There's glances underscore server.sh. We're going to right click on that and choose open with. And then as you can see, it's not listed there. We're going to select other. And see down at the bottom where it says recommended applications, we're going to change that to all applications. And then we're looking for terminal. It's in the utilities directory. Let's see. Terminal. Select that. Make sure you check the box that says always open with. And then just say open. And we'll just double check to make sure. Now, whenever we say open with, the top selection is terminal. So we are good to go. Now we're ready to add it as a login script. All right, so we're going to go to System Preferences, select Users and Groups. And then under our username that we usually log in with, mine, of course, is my name. I'm going to select Login Items, hit the little plus symbol down at the bottom, and then select that script. Once we have that added in there, we can go ahead and close everything out. And just to make sure, we're going to reboot this machine so that we can verify that when we log in, it will come up and start the script. Select restart. Of course, I'll fast forward so that we're right back at the logon screen. Go ahead and log in again. All right, so our machine is back up. So let's jump back over to the web browser and see if it's up and running. Port number was 61208. So IP address of our machine, :61208, brings this up this in the browser. So as you can see, everything is currently running. It's got all the information that we need. Bam, we now have it set up to start this application at login on our Mac computer. So let's jump over to the next step. All right, so as I told you before, there is already a Glances component in Home Assistant that will pull all the stats in. And as you can see here down under resources, there is tons of information that you can pull into Home Assistant. So we're going to set this up so that we can start getting alerts if our machine runs out of disk space or whatever else you want to use it for. There's lots of stuff you can do with it. All right, so in order to set up this component, we need to open up my sensors.yaml file, which is where I have all of my sensors set up. Find me an open spot down here at the bottom. The platform will be Glances. For the name, I'm going to call mine, because this Macintosh computer is a one of those little trash can Mac Pros. So I'm going to call it Trash Can. Host will be 10.10.10.13. That's the IP address of my Mac. Now the version number. Make sure if this is a new install of Glances, that probably will be version 3, but you can always do a Glances -- version in the command line if you want to verify what version you're running. But any new install should be version 3, so just make sure that you list what version there. So we'll say version 3. I think by default, Home Assistant looks to version 2. Resources, this will be all the items that we want to monitor. I'm not going to put everything in there. We'll say I want disk use percent, memory use percent, CPU use percent. I think those are some good choices, at least for right now. Once we have all the resources we want in there, let's go ahead and save it. And we're going to jump back over to Home Assistant and restart for the changes to take effect. So under configuration, go to general. I'm going to check my config. Everything checks out okay. So then we'll hit restart down at the bottom. And we'll give that a second to come back up. Let's add in an entity card to show all of our stats from Glances. So we'll hit the plus. I'm just going to choose an entity card. Let's see, title, we're going to call it Trash Can, and I'll just put in dash Glances just so I know what it is. For the entities, we're going to pick all these newly created entities. We had Trash Can CPU, Trash Can disk used. Let's see, we'll add all these in there. So disk used, there's RAM used, there's CPU used. Go ahead and save that. And as you can see, now we have a little card in Loveless that has our disk use, RAM use, CPU use, all in percentages. Everything looks nice and clean. It is pulling all that from Glances and that logon script that we have set up. So that's it. I mean, that now we can create automations with these if we want. Like I said, you could set up an alert for if your disk is running low or something like that. I mean, there's tons of different options there. Let's move over to the last step. All right, so just as an added bonus, I thought it'd be cool to have a panel iframe on the side where I could click on it and view that Glances page. So I'm going to edit my panel underscore iframe.yaml file where I have my various panel iframes set up. I'm just going to add another one down here at the bottom. I'm going to call it, let's see, Trash Can Glances. For the title, just so in case I want to add multiple entries over here, I'm going to call this one Glances-Trash-Can. The URL will be the IP address of that machine, :61208, just as we have already tested earlier. And for the icon, I'm just going to put in a little memory icon. Looks like a little chip. Go ahead and save that. And of course, we're going to restart Home Assistant one more time for the changes to take effect. And of course, now as you can see on the side over there, we have a link called Glances-Trash Can. Click on that, and there is our Glances page. We're still within Home Assistant. This is just a panel iframe. Very cool. Just another way to view all the different stats right here in Home Assistant. That's the end of the video, guys. Pretty cool. Lots of information there. And of course, like I said, any machine that runs Python or will support Python, you should be able to run Glances. Guys, if you want to see this video set up on a Windows machine or specifically a Linux machine, let me know. I can certainly put something together. Let's do a quick run through of everything we covered in this video. So, of course, we started out by installing Glances. Once we did that, we just kind of tested it out and made sure it worked okay, just as a local web server. Then we set it up to run at login so that every time we logged into our Mac, that would automatically start up. Once we did that, we configured Glances for Home Assistant using the Glances component in Home Assistant. And then, of course, lastly, we added a panel iframe to show Glances right from Home Assistant's side menu there. That's the end of the video, guys. I hope you liked it. Definitely check out Glances. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of cool information that you can pull into Home Assistant. Very cool. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. As always, if there are any videos out there that you would like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well, and I will see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around. Thanks.